No, I probably won't spend a lot of time. So there were 36 multiple choice questions, 20 points possible for the second section, and 21 points possible for the short answer section. So at the top, you should see 3 numbers added together, and there were 77 possible, but I took it out of 75. Excuse me, 77 possible, but I took it out of 72. So you might want to check me if you got a. So take the number it equals and divide it by 72, and that should be what I gave you about 10:30 last night. Okay. So let's take a look at them. And like, for instance, the first one, right off the bat, I'm not sure I put that term on your review sheet. So right away, I'm like, ugh. So that'd probably be one of the 5 that I would throw out. I was actually after air mass weather, B, for question number 1, as basically if you take an air mass and it sets on its way and then it sets on you for a while, your weather is called air mass weather. So B is the best answer. A lot of people miss that one. So again, I spotted you 5. Question 2, what does a mature mid-latitude cyclone look like? It looks like a comma. A is the best answer. Question 3, where are the Hadley cells? They are between 0 and 30 degrees, so B is the best answer for question 3. Question 4, the polar front is located where the easterlies and westerlies converge. So the best answer there is B for 4. Question 5, which doesn't have an impact on wind, and actually humidity doesn't, A, but the other 3 do. Question 6, what causes the ocean currents, and the best answer there is A, the major winds. Question 7, an air mass is a body that has, we talked about temperature and moisture is similar with in regards to being horizontally the same. So F is E is the best answer for number 7. There is no F. On to the next page. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Was as I handing this out, some of you are like, oh my gosh, this is so long. And yeah, I did not hit the front back button, so it copied 1 per page. So don't get used to that. I didn't mean to do that. So question number 8, if you have a maritime polar air mass, then that must be humid and cold. C is the best answer there. Question 9, Santa Ana or even Chinook winds are D, both warm, very warm, and they're coming down a mountain slope, kind of opposite sides of the mountain slope. Question 10, if you have a ridge aloft, that's associated with, I put a little H there to kind of remind me. And that is, the best answer there is C, cyclonic, C, anticyclone. Question number 11, refer to the figure. And I was after that kind of at the center of the figure going out. So actually that's looking at a mid-latitude cyclone. And so that segment D to A actually is B, the occluded front. So that's the best answer there. Question 12. Question 12, on a weather map, of course, cold fronts are blue with triangles. Question 13, in North America, continental tropical air masses only form in the summertime, so the best answer is D for 13. Question 14 is talking about upwelling, the nutrient-rich water coming up along the western coast of South America. So B is the best answer for 14. 15, again, when we talk about air masses, they're most likely similar with regard to moisture and temperature. C is the best answer for 15. Question 16, if you see a front and it's got alternating semicircles, red semicircles and blue triangles, then actually, if they're on opposite sides of, said reaction arrow again, opposite sides of the front, that is actually B, a stationary front. Question 17, where the trade winds meet, we call that the E, intertropical convergence zone. Question 18, California wildfires are aggravated by C, Santa Ana winds. Question 19, a steep pressure gradient, A, produces strong winds. Question 20, if a warm front is approaching, then you can expect to see those kind of flat clouds from high to low, cirrus, cirrostratus, altostratus, nimbostratus, D. Question 21, isobars, B, connect lines of same barometric pressure. 22, a continental tropical air mass is D, warm and dry. Question 23, the United States is mostly in the mid-latitude westerlies, so E is the best answer for that one. Question 24, a high pressure zone is generally associated with dry conditions, A. Question 25, wind, the primary force that creates wind is E, a pressure gradient force. Question 26, pressure gradient is force is directed from high to low pressure. The best answer there is E, everywhere. Question 27, the different stages of a mid-latitude cyclone. Just picking the four major developments. The word genesis means begin, so actually cyclogenesis, and then we get that kind of open wave. This is the polar front model, and then that ultimately we get the kind of the mustache, but we have an occluded front kind of before the mustache, hanging down from the low, and then finally it dissipates. So A is the best answer for that one. Question 28, we use the term overrunning to apply to warm air going up and over. So the best answer for 28 is C. Question 29, winds are usually named for B, the direction they're coming from. Best answer. Question 30, continental polar air masses in North America originate from the interior over land, so Alaska or Canada. C is the best answer for 30. Question 31, the Coriolis force is caused by the Earth's A rotation. Question 32, in the northern hemisphere, if you're talking about cyclonic winds, of course, cyclonic winds would be a low. So the best answer there is D, that with regard to a low, you're going to have air moving inward, and it's going to be going counterclockwise. So D is the best answer there. Question 35, if you have an air mass that dwells over the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be maritime tropical, B. 36, an area where we say that an air mass originates is called a source region. So on to these. These vocab were each worth 2 points apiece. And so as after windrows for the first one, number 37, for one of y'all, you drew a picture of it and put prevailing winds, and I definitely gave you credit for that. These were each worth 2 points. The next one I was after monsoons is locations that have seasonally the winds reverse themselves and create these dry and wet seasons. Question 39, I would take either, I was really after occluded front, I will also take overrunning and even mid-latitude cyclone. So I kind of, but I was after occluded front as an air mass that involves a front that involves 3 air masses. For 40, I was after Bayes-Ballott's law. A lot of you put BB law, which actually I thought that was totally cute, so I went with it. Is basically if you have the wind at your back and it's alphabetical, the low pressure is on your left. And for 42, I was after doldrums as that kind of light wind associated with the intertropical convergence zone. Question 43, the Ferrel cell, with 1L in Ferrel, is the circulation cell between the Hadley and the polar cells. And 44, I must not have included 44 on my review sheet either. I know. So that's why, again, I spotted you 5. So you picked the 5. So a lot of people missed lake effect snow. You're in very good company. But lake effect snow, like I say here, occurs as the continental polar air moves over the Great Lakes and becomes modified by the warm water vapor. Okay. 45, I was after geostrophic wind, is basically the wind that's moving between isobars at upper elevations. Gradient wind is moving between isobars, but it's generally curvy. Can you guys hear me okay over the, okay, good. I like the windows open too. 46, I was after dry line as 2 air masses clashing. They're both warm, but they differ by their moistures. And then these were each worth 3 points apiece. So I kind of did some creative grading here. I tried to be consistent across the board. When in doubt, if it was between 2 or 1, I gave you 2. So if you got half right, I gave you 2. That's kind of how I roll with this. So the first one, I was after a high and a low at the surface, kind of compare and contrast those two. You can kind of see what I came up with. Highs, of course, are anticyclones. Lows are cyclones. Highs move clockwise. Notice I had to cross out. I originally put I put counterclockwise. Of course, it's clockwise around a high, counterclockwise around a low. Around a high, air is leaving the center, and around a low, air is coming together. We call that diverging and converging, respectively. Highs bring clear skies, lows bring cloudy skies. And then we talked about kind of these Rossby waves that actually, ridges are associated with highs and lows are associated with troughs. The next one for 3 points, I wanted you to kind of compare the isobars in strong winds versus weak winds. For strong winds, the isobars are close together. We call that a steep pressure gradient. Weak winds, they're far apart. We call that a weak pressure gradient. Down here for 49, my answer key, it was interesting as I was grading them, the number of people that kind of went this route, A through G, and the number of people that went this route, 1 through 7. It just makes it kind of interesting for me to grade. But they're both the same thing. So take a look at that. So for this one, for 50, this was that homework question where I said I would take either, I went through with this kind of semi-permanent high here that's located next to in all ocean basins, just kind of how they lie. They kind of are the location where the Hadley and the Ferrell cell, we have that descending air. So around a high in the northern hemisphere, water's going clockwise. That's how I've drawn. That's why we kind of have water from the poles moving down. And if you or if you put upwelling, and some of you put both, so totally smiley face with that. As reasons for our west coasts generally are cooler. And then on the next page, you had to fix the E. Actually, this one should be an E. In some cases, again, kind of a mixed bag. You can see on my answer key where I went ahead and kind of put the 2-letter designation for the air mass. This one actually, notice that it has to be the summer because notice that, and actually this was a homework question, in the summer is only when you get that dry continental tropical air. Okay. Now, if you missed this one and thought this source region was a maritime tropical, notice that if that's the only one you missed, you still got 3 points, 3 out of 3. Because, you know what I'm saying. So, kind of, if you got half right, you got 2 out of 3. That sort of thing. For this next one, okay, I kind of drew a picture. Did you have a question about that one, maybe?
I'll ask you later.
Okay. So for this one, for 52, probably if I'm looking for questions to include in your final in May, 52 probably won't make it. Because when I was grading it, I saw a lot of kind of basically shifting or confusing. I was after a surface high, and I think your homework was probably a surface low, and I did that on purpose. I know. So if you totally swapped them, I think I just docked you 1 point and kind of noted what this is for a surface high instead of a surface low. But surface high pressures, they can't stay. If they want to stay a high pressure, then actually you need to kind of feed them. I saw somebody use the word feed, which I thought that was so cute, adorable. So they're actually fed by air moving down, okay, from above, and air moves down from above because it converges aloft. So that's kind of what we have going on there. Again, I don't see it making it to your final. Then this last one here were 3 points. And this one got a little confusing to grade, but I wanted you, I think this was a homework, the Chapter 9, which, by the way, I don't have your Chapter 9 graded. I was doing good to get these graded last night after my fun weekend, right? So we're moving, and so I was moving, doing things for that. I know. It's exciting, but yeah, it's stressful. We got 2 houses. You want one? Yeah. No, maybe not. Anyway, so I'll get that graded and give back to you on Wednesday. But this last one, I was after the whole ridge thing. So ridges are associated with highs. So if you'll read it a few times, of course, ridge is B and a high is D. So I actually, in my answer key, put B and D up there. And lows are associated with troughs. Trough was A and a low was C. So I kind of put AC there. So. But to me, almost, it seems like kind of over here in our kind of northeast, to me that almost looks like another ridge. So for some students, they kind of thought that was like another ridge and kind of put either B and D over here, something like that. So that was fine too. So, all right, so that is that. Yeah, if you have questions, just generally make sure you ask me about them.